Listen, all you New Yorkers. Excuse me, taxi.
Okay, man, we're looking around.
This is the 77 WABC minicast.
Rape is up exponentially, and the mayor says, well, it really depends on how you define rape. Maybe he should ask his wife. She seems to enjoy it when Israeli girls get raped. Maybe 5 at a time, gangbanged by a whole bunch of terrorists and Hamas guys. Maybe he should ask his wife what constitutes rape. I don't know. He is the most disgusting person God ever created. I don't know how any of these media members get angry with me. Been over this a million times. Errol Lewis, Katie Honan, even some of the real mainstays, people I respect, the Marsha Kramers, the Morgan Mackays. They never ask this guy a real question. Melissa Russo, maybe every now and then, not often. You know, Michael Rappaport was very funny on this show yesterday. Let me go down there. I want to go down there. I want one of these stations to employ Sid Rosenberg for one day. One day. Let that communist-run New York One Spectrum, instead of Errol Lewis, that fat, stupid, black racist, sitting there with Mamdani every Thursday, let me do it once. Your business is all about ratings. You do realize that, right, you dumb bastards? Don't you think that Sid Rosenberg and Mamdani would generate bigger ratings than Lewis and Mamdani? Now, look, I don't think I would even do it, because I'm not sure I could sit in the same room with that guy without beating him to a pulp. And yes, that was just a physical, violent statement. I don't care. I don't think I can do it. I really don't. Frank Morano is one of our 5 Republican city council members. You know the story. One of the 2, along with the great David Carr out of Staten Island, and a tremendous radio guy as well, a former colleague. He joins us this morning. He's outraged about the mayor trying to redefine rape as well. So with that said, Frank, just take it away. Mamdani's latest.
First of all, Sid, I watched that answer 3 times because I genuinely couldn't believe that that was the answer the mayor of New York City chose to give, not on a subject like city thefts or, welfare reform or something that maybe requires a little nuance or some depth. It was a pretty cut and dry issue of rape in a post-Me Too era, and he's ostensibly the leader of a political movement that is very down with being woke and women's rights and everything like that. Not a movement that necessarily sees a lot of gray area when it comes to rape. I mean, this was crazy. If this was a Republican mayor or a politician of any type that gave this answer, forget about it. If that was Rudy Giuliani or Mike Bloomberg, they would have filleted him. This was
forget about a politician. I got to tell you, if I went on the air and said that, I'd be in trouble.
Yeah, you've said a lot less severe things and gotten filleted for that. Right. But I'll tell you, if more survivors are coming forward, that's a good thing. But the crime that happened to them is not a good thing. And that's what the mayor totally failed to highlight. You don't spin rape statistics. You don't massage them. You don't look for the sunny side. A survivor coming forward years later doesn't mean the rape didn't happen. Right. It means we learned about it later. Right. The proper answer is, and this is not an answer that puts him in a bad light at all if he would have given it, is I'm deeply concerned. We're examining the numbers. We're going to protect women and bring predators to justice. Period. Done. End of story. Instead, we got a sociology seminar. This administration, and I think you know me, said it, and I said this even before he was elected, I'm not looking to beat the guy up just to beat the guy up, right? I have no problem working with someone that I disagree with 99% of the time on the one issue that maybe we agree on. But this administration has this strange instinct. Whenever New Yorkers identify disorder or crime, the first response is to explain why we're interpreting it incorrectly.
The first response really is to beat their chest and give out a couple of really favorable numbers, which also I can go into those numbers like he did with rape and do the same thing, but I choose not to when it comes to shootings and murders. That's their first response.
Hate crimes. You want to take a look at hate crimes?
Hate crimes. We're doing great, except...
Or transit crime.
Right, yeah. Except when somebody gets punched in the face on the subway, except when a Jewish person gets punched across the face, except when a young girl gets raped in a stairwell. Otherwise, we're doing great.
Yeah, the reporter there asked a very simple, very fair question, and the mayor gave what could only be described as a bizarre answer. So I don't need the mayor.
I think bizarre is the wrong word. I would even say insensitive and downright grotesque.
So I don't need a mayor or any politician to find the silver lining in rape statistics. Right. I need him to find the rapists.
Right.
This is crazy. It's an absolutely crazy situation, and I was glad the speaker called him out on it. You could tell that she is getting his goat to some extent. No,
there's no question about it. When her and I had our difficulties, she was really, and I'll say this, bending over backwards to appease him. She has not been doing that as of late, whether it was me, Vicky. She has not been doing that as of late. I mean, it seems like, and you too, you guys are constantly, from the budget to the lack of cops, no cops on the budget, no fifth firefighter, to this thing with the rape, to the horses. It seems like almost every day now, Julie Menon has an issue with the mayor. Now, I didn't play her response, but if you can give me the Monarch Note version, what exactly did she say in response to that awful description of rape by the mayor?
Well, first of all, that question came about, and Dan Manarino from Pix asked it because she was making such a big deal over the uptick in rape crimes as a reason we need more cops. And then he asked the question, she gave that bizarre response. Not only did she, and by the way, not just her, but many of our colleagues, you have I know you and not without reason have said there's really not much, no such thing as a conservative Democrat these days. At least there's one in the city, Phil Wong, who represents Bob Holden's old district. He certainly is a conservative Democrat.
And Bob Holden, for that matter, Bob Holden, who I talk to and I watch his tweets every day because I think he's a brilliant guy. We had our issues during the Curtis run, but I really love the guy. Bob Holden was that guy, so it looks like Phil Wong has continued Holden's legacy.
Up the mantle.
Yeah.
But he decried the mayor's response, and so did more conventional establishment Democrats like Lynn Schulman and even some of the liberal Democrats. There is nobody standing up for what the mayor said. But basically, Julie said that in words or substance, I'm not quoting her here, but that it defies any reasonable logic that the mayor would choose to characterize rapes that way. And you could almost give him a gimme if he was handling every other aspect of his job well. But honestly, everything that he is handling in this city is turning to pot. And, I heard you, and maybe it was with Joe Bigigno the other day, or maybe it was one of your monologues, talk about how it takes time for the city to turn around in both directions, on a positive level and in a negative direction. We are setting this city up for failure in so many different areas. I heard, your terrific interview with Vicky yesterday, and you guys talked about the Little Italy debacle. I mean, that's just one minor example, which ultimately doesn't affect many people's lives, but it says a lot about the mayor's character. He doesn't view himself as a cheerleader for New York City. He doesn't view himself as a mayor that represents all New Yorkers. And if you look at how he's handling homelessness, the way that he's handling homelessness, whether it's in Manhattan, Brooklyn, or Staten Island, that has the opportunity to set us back to the pre-Giuliani era more than almost anything any mayor's ever done. Take a look at what's going on at the Intrepid. If you walk outside of the Intrepid, there's this homeless encampment. The Post has been covering it. It stretches 12 blocks on the west side.
12 blocks.
There's tents. There's open drug
That's like
use,
Los Angeles. That's like Los Angeles, Frank.
Yeah, and police had to intervene yesterday over an illegal electricity hookup. The homeless are setting up camps and with electricity. And this is what happens when compassion gets divorced from common sense.
Listen, enough with the compassion. I'm sorry, not on this show. Save it for other shows on this station. I know they talk about that. I put my son on a subway. We had just moved back from Boca Raton, Florida. And New York is scary enough. And we had to take Gabriel to school one day on the subway. He was about 7 years old. And some guy pushed him, tried to physically harm him. Some other guy was naked. And, he didn't get, there wasn't a crime committed necessarily, but it scarred that kid for life. And when you walk past some crazy homeless guy in New York City and he starts yelling and screaming or cursing and he smells and looks terrible, that is not just some innocent guy. I know some of them were service people in Vietnam and all that stuff. I get it. but it has gotten to the point where these people on the streets of New York City absolutely play a role in lessening the quality of life. It's enough with compassion.
No doubt,
Get these people off the goddamn streets.
Well, and you know what? It's also for that former serviceman that's now homeless because he's dealing with drug issues or mental illness. It's not compassionate to the homeless person living in a tent surrounded by drugs and filth. It's also, to your point about quality of life for everybody else, it's not compassionate to the bus driver who's got to work there or the family taking their kid to the Intrepid. And it's especially absurd to the taxpayers who are spending billions with a B, of dollars on a shelter and social service system only to be told that a 12-block encampment is somehow inevitable.